Hello, 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 and namaste, my witchlings. How are we doing tonight? I need to pare down my lipsticks. Hello, how are we doing today? All right. We are celebrating extra strength Tylenol. Hells yes. All right. Hello and namaste, witchlings. I am so glad you're all here. Apparently I'm talking to the wrong part of the mic again. I do that all the damn time. Either my camera needs to be over there or my mic needs to be over there. I'm doing good today. I'm in a good mood. I'm happy. I'm cheerful. I am thirsty. How the hell did I already almost finish it? C'est la vie. Liquid refreshment is good. All right. Apparently I got the sniffles too. Yes, we are. Let's get going, shall we? All right. Hello, namaste, welcome, my witchlings. I am so glad you're here. All right. Before we do anything else, take a breath with me. Not a deep breath, not a cleansing breath, not a breath meant to fix your posture, calm your nervous system, or prove that you're doing this right. Just a breath you don't have to perform. Let it arrive however it arrives. Let it leave when it's ready. And this space right here, right now, is the cauldron. So take a breath. The cauldron here is not a place of urgency. It's not a place of productivity or polish. It's where we bring what's already burning in us and set it down gently enough that it doesn't scorch everything it touches. The cauldron here, the cauldron holds heat without demanding explosion. It holds intensity without demanding collapse. Now, if you listened to Bitch and Witch the other night, you might be carrying a lot into this moment. Maybe it's clarity that arrived like a lightning strike. Maybe it's anger that finally has some language. Maybe it's grief, old grief, new grief, or even just the quiet grief of realizing how much you have had to carry alone. Maybe it's resolve. Maybe it's exhaustion so forking deep, you don't even know what emotion sits underneath it anymore. Now, none of that is wrong. None of that needs to be pushed away. None of that needs to be worked through tonight. It's not a problem. It's information. So often, we're taught to treat intensity as something to fix, emotions as something to manage, and discomfort as a personal failure. The cauldron doesn't operate that way. Here, we listen first. We witness. We allow meaning to emerge instead of forcing conclusions. And tonight, we are not here to fix a bloody thing. We are not here to optimize, transcend, or bypass. We are here to tend. To tend means to stay present without urgency, to notice without judgment, and to care without controlling the outcome. Our word for this week is Sankalpa, sacred intention. But in this space, Sankalpa is not a statement that we announce to the universe. It's not a vow shouted into the void or a mantra slapped over discomfort. In the Cauldron, Sankalpa is lived, not declared. It's practiced slowly, quietly, and imperfectly, like feeding a fire one careful piece of wood at a time. Yeah, don't throw the whole log on and hope for the best. No. You notice the heat, you notice the airflow, and you adjust. You stay close enough to feel it, but not so close that you burden yourself trying to prove devotion. Tonight, your only job is to be honest about what you're bringing into the cauldron. No edits, no spiritual gloss, no performance. Let what is here be here. We'll listen together. We'll tend together. And we'll let Sankalpa take shape, not as an idea, but as a way of staying. When we talk about rekindling the inner flame, I want to be abundantly clear about the kind of fire we mean, because so much of the language around inner fire has been borrowed by hustle culture, spiritual performance, and the endless demand to be brighter, louder, and more inspiring than we were yesterday. That is not the fire we are tending here. This is not a bonfire, not a wildfire, and it is not a blaze meant to be seen from miles away. This is Hearth Fire. Hearth Fire exists for warmth, not for applause. It lives at the center of the home, not on a stage. It is meant to be returned to again and again, especially when the world outside is harsh, cold, or chaotic. Hearth Fire doesn't need witnesses to justify itself. Its value is inherent in what it provides. Steadiness, safety, continuity. Hearth Fire is steady and protected. It burns because it is cared for, and that care matters. Expectation, especially the kind that we internalize from systems that benefit from our burnout, treats fire as a spectacle. Expectation throws fuel onto a flame and demands it roar. It asks for passion without pause, output without rest, and devotion without nourishment. When the fire falters, expectation blames the flame instead of the conditions. Sankalpa operates differently. Sankalpa listens to what the fire actually needs. Sometimes that means adding fuel, support, nourishment, boundaries, community, or purpose. Sometimes it means reducing the airflow, less exposure, fewer demands, fewer voices telling you who you should be and how fast you should become them. And sometimes Sankalpa recognizes that the fire doesn't need intervention at all. It needs rest. It needs to bank low, to glow quietly, to conserve heat for survival rather than display. This, my friends, is where Sankalpa becomes a practice, not a proclamation. Tending a hearth fire requires presence. You have to notice the temperature, pay attention to the embers, and then you have to respond to changes as they happen, not as you wish they were. This kind of attention is not passive. It is active, intimate, and deeply respectful. Sankalpa teaches us that tending is not passive, it's responsive. And responsive means you are in relationship with yourself, not in command of yourself. You are listening instead of ordering and adjusting instead of forcing. You are honoring the reality of the moment instead of overriding it with intention alone. A hearth fire that is tended well can last through the longest nights. It doesn't exhaust itself trying to prove it deserves to exist. It trusts that warmth is enough. And over time, that steady warmth becomes what sustains life, gathers people close, and makes it possible to keep going when everything else feels uncertain. So when you work with Sankalpa this week, ask yourself not, how do I make my fire burn brighter, but how do I tend what is already here? What would protect your flame? What would steady it? What would allow it to continue without consuming you? That is Hearth Fire, and that is Sankalpa in practice. My notes just jumped around on me. I'm having fun here. All right, y'all. Bring your awareness into your body now. Not to analyze anything, not to diagnose anything, or to figure out what it means or how to improve it. Just notice it. Let your attention settle gently the way steam settles back into water. Your body, this wonderful meat sack that drags us around everywhere, is not a machine. It's not a productivity tool. It is not a resource to be optimized, hacked, or pushed past its own wisdom. Your body is a vessel, and like any vessel, it has limits, not as a failure, but simply as a form of integrity. Limits are what allow a vessel to hold something without breaking. They are what make containment possible. Without limits, nothing can be carried safely. Expectation asks the body to override those limits. It tells the body to perform through pain, to stay functional through exhaustion, to be calm when it is alarmed, and pleasant when overwhelmed. Expectation treats sensation as an obstacle and rest as a reward that must be earned. That is something that has always befuddled me. Why do you have to earn rest? I digress. Sankalpa asks something very, very different. Sankalpa asks the body what it needs to remain intact. So we begin with awareness, not correction. As I smack my bottle of water. Notice your body as it is right now. Where do you feel warmth? Maybe it's in your chest, belly, hands, face. Maybe it's subtle, like a low ember rather than a flame. Let that warmth be there without amplifying it or questioning it. Where do you feel tightness? Maybe your jaw, your shoulders, hips, lower back. Again, notice without trying to fix. Tightness is often the body's way of holding what has not yet been released safely. It's not something to fight. Just a thought. Where does your energy feel low or guarded? Perhaps there's a place that feels heavy or numb or distant or even shut down. Guarding is a form of intelligence. It means something has been protected. You do not need to force it open. There is no need yet to change anything. In the Cauldron, awareness comes before action. Always. Before we add fuel, before we adjust airflow, before we decide what needs healing or movement or rest. The body as Cauldron holds heat, emotion, memory, and meaning all at once. It processes experience slowly through sensation rather than logic. When we rush to change the body without listening to it, we disrupt that process. When we listen first, we allow integration to begin. This is not a scan to find out what is wrong. This is an invitation to recognize what is present. Your body is already responding to your life. It's already adapted, compensated, survived, and learned. Sankalpa honors that history. It doesn't demand the body become something else in order to be worthy of care. So, let your body be a vessel tonight, not something you drive, manage, or correct, but something you inhabit. Notice. Breathe naturally. Stay curious without pressure. We will tend the fire. We will listen for what is needed. But first, my friends, we allow the cauldron to reveal what it is already holding. Oh, wow, excuse me. Speaking of noticing energy levels, I am very low energy right now, so please bear with me. There is a quiet pressure in many spiritual spaces to always be casting something, manifesting, calling in, claiming, declaring. Even rest gets turned into a ritual with an outcome attached. Healing becomes a project with milestones and metrics. If you're not actively summoning, transmuting, or optimizing your reality, it can start to feel like you're falling behind, spiritually speaking. But Sankalpa is not spellcasting for control. It is spellcasting for alignment. Spellcasting culture, as it often shows up now, treats magic like leverage. The spell is supposed to bend reality toward a desired result. The clearer the demand, the stronger the will, the faster the outcome. At least that's the story we're sold, right? When it works, yes, it feels empowering. When it doesn't, well, the blame quietly and very rapidly shifts back onto the practitioner. You didn't believe hard enough. You didn't visualize clearly enough. You didn't want it badly enough. Sankalpa refuses that bargain. A Sankalpa does not say, "This must happen." It says, "This is how I will move regardless of the outcome." That distinction matters. When magic is rooted in control, it puts the nervous system on high alert. Oh, never fun. It teaches us to scan constantly for signs of success or failure. It turns every delay into doubt and every obstacle into self-blame. And over time, that kind of magic doesn't expand our power. It drains it. Magic that demands results burns witches out. Magic that honors limits sustains them. Sankalpa ain't passive, but it is ethical. Sorry. Sorry, the man behind the curtain is in my ear and just asked one of the dogs what they're doing, and I'm like, I don't want to know. Sorry about that all. Alright, back to what I was talking about. Sankalpa is not passive, but it is ethical. It draws a clear boundary between what you are responsible for and what you are not. You are responsible for your choices, your patterns, and your participation. You are not responsible, my friend, for controlling other people, forcing timing, or guaranteeing outcomes. This is where Sankalpa becomes deeply subversive. Instead of asking, how do I make this shit happen? Sankalpa asks, how do I stay in integrity as this unfolds? Instead of gripping the future, it anchors you in the present. Instead of pouring energy into constant spell work, it focuses energy into consistency, restraint, and relationship. Sankalpa is the magic of staying with your body instead of overriding it, staying with your values instead of abandoning them under pressure, and staying within your capacity instead of borrowing energy from tomorrow and calling it devotion. That just makes you run out of spoons twice as fast. This kind of magic doesn't always look dramatic. It doesn't always feel powerful in the moment, but it builds something far more enduring than a single result. Trust. Trust in yourself, in your rhythms, and that you can remain aligned even when outcomes are uncertain. Sankalpa does not replace spells. It reframes them. If you do cast, you cast from relationship, not desperation, from clarity instead of control, from a grounded understanding that magic is not about forcing the world to comply. It's about choosing who you are while you meet it. That, my friends, that is sustainable magic. And that is Sankalpa at work. All right, you guys. If you're enjoying our podcast here and you'd like to take just a little teeny tiny step deeper into our coven, consider clicking on the join button and becoming a member of this channel. There are some amazing perks for all of my witchlings, with levels starting at just a single solitary $1 a month. Also, a quick little reminder that you can help this channel for free by subscribing and sharing this video with a friend. I love you guys so very much, and I appreciate all your support. Thank you so very much for tuning in. All right, back to the show. All right. I am snoozy. All right, my witchlings. So, care is not what you do once. Everything is else. Blah, 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 blah. My tongue just dripped over my eye teeth. Try this again. Care is not what you do once everything else is handled. It is not something you squeeze in after the work is done, the needs are met, and the messages are answered, and the world has taken its share. Care is not the reward at the end of endurance, handed out only if you manage to not fall apart first. Care is a practice, and like any real practice, it requires repetition, permission, and flexibility. It asks to be returned to again and again, not perfected once and then checked off a list. A practice adapts to the day you're actually having and not the one you wish you were strong enough to handle. In the Cauldron, we reject the idea that care has to be earned. Yeah, we really do. We reject the idea that care has to be justified. We reject the idea that care must be optimized, aesthetic, or impressive. Care does not exist to be witnessed or approved. It exists to sustain life. So much of what we do, I am getting sniffly now. So much of what passes for self-care in dominant culture is honestly performance. It's care that looks good from the outside, but still demands productivity on the inside. Rest that must be efficient. healing that must be visible, nourishment that still comes with rules, metrics, and guilt. Sankalpa invites us to step out of that trap. Care can be quiet, it can be boring, and it can definitely look like doing less instead of more. Care can look like going to bed earlier without turning it into a personal failing. It can look like canceling plans without providing a morally acceptable explanation. It can look like repeating the same simple support every day because it works, not because it's exciting or transformative. I'm sniffling. It's one of those if it ain't broke, don't fix it kinds of things. When care is a practice, it becomes relational. You listen, you respond, you adjust. You do not abandon the practice because one day it doesn't feel magical. You stay with it because it keeps you intact. Now, this is where Sankalpa anchors into lived reality. It does not ask, what kind of care should I be doing? It asks, what kind of care actually keeps me whole? Not what looks good on social media, not what sounds spiritual when you say it out loud, not what proves you're committed to growth. What works? What reduces harm, increases capacity, and allows you to show up again tomorrow without resentment or, God forbid, depletion. Sometimes the most radical care is choosing not to push through it. Sometimes it's choosing consistency over intensity. Sometimes it's letting care be small enough that you can actually sustain it when life gets hard. Here in the Cauldron, care is not separate from Sankalpa. It is how Sankalpa lives in the body, in the schedule, in the choices you make when nobody else is watching. Care is the way intention becomes embodied instead of aspirational. So, if you're listening and realizing that your care has been postponed, conditional, or constantly interrupted, this is not a moment for shame. It's an invitation. Return to the practice. Adjust it to fit your real life, and let care be enough. That too is devotion. Why did I all of a sudden stuff up? Holy wow. All right, moving on, my friends. Oh, I'm so sorry. All right. If it feels safe to do so, imagine a small flame in front of you. Not dramatic or ceremonial, not symbolic in any grand abstract way, just real. A flame the size of a candle or an ember in a hearth. Something that exists because it's being held, not because it's trying to be impressive. Let it be close enough to feel its warmth, but not so close that it demands your attention or effort. And now, without trying to interpret or explain, ask yourself, not with your mind, but with your body, what does this flame need tonight? Don't search for the right answer. Don't scan for something poetic or wise, because this is not a test. It's a listening. You might receive a word, something simple like rest, water, space, quiet, boundary, or time. You might receive a sensation, a softening or a heaviness, a warmth spreading. A place in your body that asks to be noticed rather than fixed. Maybe you receive an image, a hand shielding the flame from wind, a log placed gently beside it, a flame banking low for the night instead of burning bright. You might not receive anything at all. All responses are valid here. If you receive nothing, that is not failure. It's not a sign that you're disconnected or blocked or doing this wrong. It may simply mean that rest is the medicine that the system is quieting rather than communicating. Silence can be a form of wisdom. Sankalpa does not rush answers. It trusts that what needs to be known will arrive when there's enough safety to receive it. If something does come, however small, let it be enough. You don't need to build a plan around it. You don't need to promise yourself you'll act on it perfectly. Just acknowledge it. Let your body register that it has been heard. This is the ritual, not the visualization, not the insight, but the act of listening without demand. Tending the flame means respecting its rhythms. It means recognizing that not every moment calls for action. Sometimes tending looks like protection. Sometimes it looks like restraint. And sometimes it looks like letting the fire sleep. If it feels supportive right now, you might place a hand on your body, on your chest, your belly, your thigh, anywhere that feels grounding. Let that contact remind you that you are here, that you are held, and that you do not have to generate more energy to be worthy of care. Take another natural breath. Let the image of the flame soften or fade, trusting that it continues to burn whether you're watching it or not. The flame does not depend on your vigilance. It depends on relationship. Sankalpa lives in that relationship. And now, when you're ready, gently return your attention back to this space, carrying nothing more than the knowing that tending begins with listening, and listening is already enough. As we close our time together tonight, I want you to remember this. You are not required to burn brighter to be worthy. You are not required to consume yourself to prove devotion. You are not required to turn your pain into productivity. Nothing about your value is measured by intensity. Sankalpa is not about pushing harder or becoming more impressive in your practice. It is the quiet, steady commitment to choose yourself without abandoning your values. It is the refusal to trade your well-being for approval, urgency, or a false sense of spiritual achievement. What you tend with care endures. What you force eventually breaks. So tonight, let your intention be simple enough to carry with you when the world feels heavy. Stay warm. Stay whole. Stay honest. Warmth does not require firestorms. Wholeness does not require perfection. Honesty does not require cruelty toward yourself. These are practices you can return to again and again and again, especially on the days when you feel tired, uncertain, or just utterly undone. That was some alliteration for you. As you leave the cauldron tonight, you don't need to take answers with you. You don't need to resolve anything before you go. The work continues not because you push it forward, but because you allow it to unfold at a human pace. Trust that what you have tended tonight has been received. The fire will still be there tomorrow, steady, waiting, and willing to be cared for. Go gently, my witchlings. Short show tonight, but thank you for stepping into the cauldron with me tonight. Thank you for bringing your presence, your honesty, and whatever energy you had to offer tonight, whether it felt full, frayed, or somewhere in between. May your flame be steady, not because it burns fiercely, but because it is tended with care. May your care be sufficient, even when it is quiet, ordinary, or unseen. May your Sankalpa guide you gently home to your body, your breath, your values, and the rhythms that keep you whole. You do not need to rush the path ahead. You do not need to carry more than what belongs to you. Let what was tended here settle slowly, doing its work in its own time. And now, my loves, let's go out and spread love, spread joy, and spread kindness. There is already so much darkness in this world. Please, let each of us choose to be steady lights for those finding their way through it. Make sure your loved ones know in all their forms, 2 legs, 4 legs, wings, fur, scales, paws, and claws, that they matter very much to you. Time moves a whole lot faster than any of us realize, and those chances to say I love you are not ever, ever guaranteed. And if you take only one thing away from everything we do here, always remember, you are loved. You are wanted. You are needed. And there's a reason you're here, even if you don't know what it is yet. I was 45 before I figured mine out. I love you guys. Namaste, Witchlings.